I'm looking for my wife.
What?
My wife, where is she?
Look, I don't know how to tell you this, but I've never seen you before in my life.
What are you doing?
A married couple named Jeff and Amy were driving down the highway, leaving everything behind after suffering financial bankruptcy. After failing in their old city, they decided to start again in San Diego and build a completely new life from scratch. The highway ahead was long, quiet, and nearly empty. Jeff focused on driving while Amy slowly drifted asleep in the passenger seat, exhausted after months of stress and constant worries about their debts. Suddenly, another car appeared out of nowhere and almost caused a serious crash. The scare woke Amy immediately.
Did you see that? I mean, he pulled right out in front of me. Took my eyes off the road for a second, but I mean, come on.
And she suggested they stop somewhere to find a gas station and take a short break. When they reached the station, Jeff checked the car and added some engine oil, hoping their old vehicle would survive the long journey ahead. Not long after, the driver of the car they had nearly crashed into earlier walked over to them. His name was Sam. The two men exchanged a few tense words about who was responsible for the near accident, but Jeff eventually stepped back since he didn't want unnecessary trouble. After the brief confrontation, they went their separate ways and continued their trips. Meanwhile, Amy had bought a pie and several donuts from the station, thinking they would be good snacks for the rest of their drive. But soon after leaving the gas station, their car suddenly broke down without warning. Since Jeff didn't know much about engines, he decided to call for a tow truck. Unfortunately, the area had no cell signal at all. Sometime later, Sam drove past them again. Instead of stopping to help, he laughed at Jeff and kept driving. Things began to feel unsettling when Sam's car turned around in the distance and seemed to watch Jeff from far away. Luckily, a trailer truck soon arrived and stopped to help, and Sam eventually drove away. The driver introduced himself as Benny. He seemed friendly and helped Jeff push the car safely to the side of the road. Benny suggested the engine had probably overheated. He then offered them a ride to a diner about 8 miles away so they could call a tow truck. Jeff refused to leave the car behind because it was the only valuable thing he still had, and he feared someone might steal it. In the end, Amy decided to go with Benny alone to the diner. She told Jeff that once she arrived, she would call a tow truck for him. With that plan, they separated. Hours passed, but the tow truck never came. Jeff eventually checked the engine again, thinking it might have cooled by now. While inspecting it, he noticed a loose cable socket. After reconnecting it, the car suddenly started working again. Relieved, Jeff quickly drove to the diner Benny had mentioned to pick up Amy. But when he arrived, Amy was nowhere to be found. Jeff asked the waitress if she had seen his wife arrive with a trailer driver, yet the waitress and everyone inside insisted they had never seen Amy at all. And that is where the trouble begins. This is Breakdown.
She's alive.
Breakdown.
Confused and worried, Jeff began driving around searching for another diner nearby. He drove mile after mile, yet there was not a single diner anywhere in the area. Eventually, he spotted Benny's trailer truck and quickly stopped him. Jeff demanded to know where Amy was, but Benny acted completely confused, as if he had never met Jeff or Amy before.
I'm looking for my wife.
What?
My wife, where is she?
Not me, sorry.
Wait a minute, what do you mean sorry?
Look, I don't know how to tell you this, but I've never seen you before in my life.
What are you doing?
Luckily, a police officer arrived and calmed the situation before things escalated. Jeff explained everything, saying his wife had disappeared after leaving with Benny. Benny continued insisting that he had never seen them before. The police searched the trailer cabin and checked the cargo, but Amy was nowhere inside. Jeff even searched the truck again himself, still unable to believe it, yet there was no sign of her. The officer suggested that perhaps Jeff's wife had simply run away with another man, explaining that such cases were becoming more common lately. With no evidence of a crime, Benny was eventually released. Still desperate and confused, Jeff went to the police station to report Amy missing. Inside, he noticed something disturbing. There were already many reports of missing people. The police told Jeff they couldn't officially investigate until at least 24 hours had passed since Amy's disappearance. With no other option, Jeff returned to the diner once more, hoping she might have arrived there after all. He asked the waiter if his wife had shown up, but the man coldly replied that he still hadn't seen her. Jeff grew suspicious when he noticed a purchase receipt at the counter. If Amy had truly come here, her name should appear on it. He tried to grab the receipt from the waiter to check it himself, but before he could read it, the waiter suddenly pulled out a gun and forced Jeff out of the diner. Outside, a strange young man named Billy approached him. Billy claimed he had actually seen Amy earlier. According to him, another truck had taken her away toward Route 7. Jeff immediately asked Billy to come with him to the police station and give an official statement, but Billy refused. The waiter had stepped outside and was now threatening both of them, leaving Billy too frightened to get involved. With no other choice, Jeff rushed toward Route 7 following Billy's directions, but when he arrived, he discovered the road was completely closed. And that was when the truth began to reveal itself. The entire situation was a trap. Sam suddenly appeared again, ready to capture Jeff. Realizing he was being hunted, Jeff slammed the gas and tried to escape while Sam chased him down the road. The chase grew more desperate until Jeff reached a dead end. With no other option, he drove his car straight into the river below while Sam fired shots at him. Jeff managed to escape but was forced to abandon the car and run for his life. Somehow he survived, though he lost the car along with Amy's donuts still inside. Meanwhile, Sam's crew later pulled the car out of the river, knowing it could still be sold for money. From a distance, Jeff secretly watched them, but before he could react, someone suddenly appeared behind him and knocked him unconscious. When Jeff woke up, he realized he had been captured by Billy, the same young man who had pretended to help him earlier. Billy revealed that Amy had told them Jeff had $10 million in his bank account. Jeff was completely stunned. He was broke, drowning in debt, and his car was still being paid off on credit. Yet, somehow, Amy had convinced them he possessed $10 million with Amy's life on the line. Jeff was forced to play along and admit the money existed. Soon, another shocking truth came out. Benny, the trailer driver who had first helped them, was actually the leader of the entire gang. Benny ordered Jeff to go to a nearby bank and withdraw the money. If Jeff failed, Benny promised he would kill Amy and send her body back piece by piece. Jeff was given only 50 minutes to return with the cash while Benny's men kept constant watch on him. Jeff eventually arrived at the bank while one of Benny's men monitored him from outside. When he checked his balance, the truth hit hard. He only had about $1.5 million desperate. Jeff even tried asking the bank for a $10 million loan on the spot. The teller obviously refused such a ridiculous request, but he could tell something was very wrong. Jeff's face looked tense and confused. Jeff quietly whispered something to him, and the teller seemed to realize Jeff was in serious danger. The teller told Jeff to wait a few minutes while the money was being prepared. Jeff then went to the restroom, hoping to find something he could use as a weapon. Unfortunately, all he found was a wooden handle and some tissue paper, completely useless against a gun. When he returned to the counter, he suddenly noticed a knife the teller had secretly left for him without Benny's men noticing. Jeff quickly hid the knife inside his jacket sleeve. Soon after leaving the bank, Jeff was picked up on the roadside by Sam, who had already been waiting for him. Sam immediately taped Jeff's hands and began beating him while demanding the money. Jeff begged them to release Amy, but instead, he was punched again. While Sam was distracted, Jeff quietly used the hidden knife to start cutting through the tape binding his hands. Meanwhile, Sam keeps bragging while admiring the stack of cash, but after looking closer, he realizes something is wrong. Only the outer bills are real, while the inside is filled with photocopies. That's when Jeff finally makes his move. He suddenly attacks Sam with the knife. Jeff manages to overpower him and ties him up instead. He even tapes Sam's neck tightly to the headrest so that any sudden movement could choke him. Jeff begins interrogating Sam, demanding to know where Amy is being held. Before Sam can answer, a police officer happens to drive by and notices the fight. The officer quickly stops and steps in to break up the situation. Jeff tries to explain what's going on, but the officer immediately assumes Jeff is the criminal and orders him to lie flat on the ground. Meanwhile, Sam manages to free himself from the restraints and suddenly shoots the police officer. In the chaos, Jeff runs down into a nearby ravine, trying to escape the gunfire. Moments later, more shots echo through the area, this time aimed at Sam. As it turns out, the officer is still alive. Even while wounded, he manages to fire back and kill Sam. Jeff quickly contacts the police to report that the officer has been shot and needs an ambulance, but he can't stay there any longer. Amy is still missing, and every second counts, so Jeff leaves immediately and continues searching for her. Not long after, Jeff arrives at a trailer stop and spots Benny talking with his men. Benny is telling them they should head home because the police are already on high alert everywhere. Jeff decides to follow them. Risking his life, he secretly clings to the underside of Benny's trailer, holding on with everything he has for the woman he loves. Several times he nearly falls as the truck speeds down the highway, but Jeff refuses to let go. With incredible determination, he manages to pull himself up and climb onto the trailer. By the time Benny finally reaches home, it is already the middle of the night. Benny is greeted by his wife and young son. Instead of relaxing, he tells them to prepare a large meal because his friends will soon arrive to eat together. Benny then begins unloading his belongings into a nearby storage shed, completely unaware that Jeff has followed him all the way there. Through a high window, Jeff sneaks into the shed and quickly discovers something disturbing. Inside are stacks of license plates and many valuable items that clearly belong to previous victims. Not long after, the rest of Benny's crew arrives in a smaller truck. From his hiding spot, Jeff watches as they unload what appears to be a lifeless body. At first glance, Jeff believes it is Amy. The body lies completely still, and the sight breaks his heart. He becomes convinced that Amy is already dead. The gang starts preparing to bury the body behind the house, but suddenly, the body moves. Thankfully, Amy is still alive. She must have only been unconscious. Just then, Benny's wife calls everyone inside, announcing that dinner is ready. At the same time, Amy briefly notices Jeff hiding above in the ceiling. Jeff still doesn't act yet because he has no weapon. Amy is then locked inside the basement. Once the area is clear, Jeff quietly tries to break the basement door open, but the lock is too strong. Realizing he needs a weapon first, Jeff searches Billy's truck and manages to find a gun. Moving silently through the house like a shadow, he enters while Benny and his family are eating dinner. With the gun pointed at them, Jeff demands the key to the basement. He also tells Benny's wife that her husband has kidnapped Amy. For a moment, the room falls completely silent. Then suddenly, Benny's young son appears, pointing a shotgun directly at Jeff. The boy is ready to defend his mother. Jeff tries to stay calm and explains that he has no intention of hurting her. But Benny and his wife actually encourage the child to shoot.
Do it!
Jeff immediately grabs control of the boy's shotgun, while Billy uses the chaos to escape. At last, they force Benny's wife to open the basement. Inside is a freezer where Benny has been keeping Amy imprisoned. Jeff warns them that if Amy is dead, he will destroy everyone in the house. Fortunately, Amy is still alive. She rushes into Jeff's arms while Benny and his cruel family are locked inside the basement instead. Even then, Benny remains arrogant, so Jeff kicks him hard in the head. After everything they've survived, Jeff and Amy try to escape using a car, but there's another problem. The car keys are missing. At the same time, Billy returns to the house and frees Benny from the basement. Meanwhile, Amy searches desperately around the room for the keys. After checking everywhere, she finally finds them. Jeff and Amy quickly drive away, but before they can escape, Benny and his gang chase them with the massive trailer. A dangerous pursuit begins as gunfire erupts and both sides fight to survive. The chase grows more intense until Jeff's car becomes trapped near the edge of an overpass, almost falling into the ravine below. Refusing to give up, Jeff climbs onto the trailer to confront Benny directly. A brutal fight breaks out as the truck continues moving. Benny repeatedly punches Jeff while Jeff struggles to hold on, but Jeff manages to grab the chain Benny is using as a weapon. Jeff pulls Benny toward him and throws him off the trailer, sending him crashing into the ravine. Benny appears dead. Jeff rushes back to Amy, whose knee is trapped during the chaos. He frees her, and for a moment, they believe the nightmare is finally over. But there is one last twist. Amy suddenly notices Benny is still alive, barely able to move. Without hesitation, she releases the trailer's parking brake. The massive trailer begins rolling forward and crushes Benny beneath its weight, ending his life for good. So the moral of the story is simple. Never let your wife tell kidnappers you secretly have 10 million when you're actually broke.
Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.